Yo, friends. Hope all is well. This is Jeff Wilson. In today's video, we are going to talk about why most runners don't need more miles. They need better training. If you have not watched anything in this channel, I've just been recently kind of redoing the vibes and kind of branding of the channel. Stay tuned. We'll talk a lot about fitness, running, mindset, strength training for all types of people. And there you go. Hope you like it. So in this video, I really want to dig into some of the issues that the distance running world has on the amount of miles type thing. It is, you can always debate this and kind of cycle around because everybody's situation is so specific. So, like, if you're a beginner runner, the simplicity of it is just learning how to run and building up miles and stuff. You're probably going to do a lot better, or you're probably just going to improve a lot just by basic running. But it's like, you may not be a beginner. If you're somebody that's been racing for a couple of years, maybe you've been racing most of your life or getting back into it. You went out and did your first marathon after a couple of years of training or something like that. Maybe even a half marathon, because they're not a full marathon, that's not a joke. You might be somebody that's like, you've already kind of challenged the running more thing other than the specifics for like a race, like a half. A full marathon, obviously, you're going to have to run some pretty good long runs and stuff like that. So taking out some of those obvious, specifics to a race. If you're just kind of somebody that's like generally training, doing local races, you like running. I live in Colorado Springs. If you found this because you know me or like the algorithm did whatever, it's like, you may just like running around the trails here, this, that, and the other. The likelihood, if running is the main thing that you do, the likelihood that more miles in those kind of those cases that I just kind of referenced, generally speaking, you most likely need better training in order to improve and not just more miles. And hopefully this video will be understanding to you. It's one of the things I hear most common is that I need to run more. And again, if you need some specifics or something like that, you need to talk to somebody, talk to a coach, this, that, and the other. You may be in that place. I don't want that to sound contradicting by any stretch of the imagination. It's just like, let's say you're somebody that wants to train for a 5 to like 10K and then eventually a half marathon a few months later down the road, presumably all injuries subside and stuff like that. If you're running like 15 miles a week, honestly, if you haven't been improving for months, a little bit of miles will probably be fine. Maybe get to 20, 22, 23-ish on average for most weeks. But you still need to periodize. So you still need to have like something in the ballpark of like every 3 weeks, you go up and then the 4th week you go down for resting, as a very simplistic way of looking at how to periodize so that you don't burn out and overtrain. With that being said, just simply only focusing on your miles isn't actually honing in on all your other skill sets, your top end speed training in general, which isn't just doing hills, by the way, especially if you live in a hilly area. If you're somebody that's kind of jumping around in strength training stuff, you do like, no offense, but like an Orange Theory type class or a CrossFit type class, you're not really focusing on getting better for running. You're just doing hard things, which if that was your initial goal, is to like learn how to get uncomfortable, okay, good for you. But if you're wanting to get faster and you're simply wanting to get faster, it may not be just running more. And I want to just mention that, I guess mainly point one is running more isn't always better. And let's say you're somebody, you're not in the 15 mile category, you're running 40, 50 miles a week and you're not improving. Well, most people, if you're not some athlete in high school or college or something, you're somebody just doing your own thing, you have a full-time job, maybe you have a family, this, that, and the other, you're running 40 miles a week, that's actually a pretty good amount. I've probably ran 35, probably at this point 38,000 miles in my life. I've had done it through many different seasons, multiple jobs, injuries, stresses, dating people, this, that, and the other. And 40 is a lot more. If you came from a competitive background, 40 is a lot more than you probably used to think it was. And it's easy to look at other people online, and especially the influencers and stuff, girls and guys. I mean, I know girls on Instagram, they're running 80, 90 miles a week, and now they've broken 3 hours in a marathon or something, which is great. That's awesome. 28-year-old girl running 2:55, 3 hours, something like that. That's incredible. But in some cases, that's all they're doing, or that's the majority of their life. They don't have other responsibilities, and they're just like work, train. And even with that said, it's like you still don't necessarily need to run more miles in order to break through plateaus. Point 2, something that's easy to overlook, because miles, let's say you're in the same category, 40 to 50 miles a week, there can be some junk miles, if you will. And point 2 is every run should have a purpose, even if it is to run recovery or run easy. And there are 2 different things there. You can look at some of my content for that. I do talk about those 2 things. Recovery is like simply just you are recovering. You are doing whatever pace is needed to recover. Has nothing to do with your Strava, has nothing to do with your pride and ego and all that stuff. Easy runs are when you're running enough, like let's say 5-6 days a week, 40 miles. Your long runs here and there is 8-10 miles, maybe 12. It's not a massive bulk every single week. Plus, I also coach not to do a long run every 7 days either. So if you follow that mindset, then some of your weeks hitting 40-ish, I mean, you're probably running 6 days, let's be realistic. So it's still, those easy runs should have a purpose. And it doesn't necessarily mean pace, but you should know that you are going to follow, whether it's a heart rate zone, a pace, just a conversational like cue, or just simply like after a while you might get a good gut feeling. I can just kind of tell you what pace I'm running most of the time without looking at my watch. That takes a lot of practice. And I know what part of my season I'm in, with what part of season I'm in, or how fatigued I've been based off of other races, workouts, this, that, and the other, or just life stress going into that run, maybe even that day. Sometimes you just have to back it off. And it sounds so simple, and people go, oh, sure, but a lot of people just don't follow this stuff. And then, of course, there's other stuff like, your workouts are your workouts. That's the purpose of today. Not to improve on your 5K time today. The purpose today is your workout, so that maybe you can improve on your 5K time later. But a lot of times people like jump ahead. I used to do this a lot when I was younger. Point 3, consistency beats any type of hero week that you can ever have, or just consistency beats everything. I'm a big proponent of consistency is king, and I'd rather see somebody that's running 25 miles a week consistently, like through several months of their training cycle, than a person that's running 15 and then 40 and then 18 and then 34. And I understand life gets in the way sometimes, but, or even something extreme, like I've known some people that are like 20-ish, 25, and then they hit 50, and then 37, 32. Oh, I just had so much going on this week. Again, understandable, but it's like, and then 50, and it's like, it's jumping around too much. Your body doesn't necessarily know how to adapt, but more importantly, it just seems unfocused. And even if you're hardworking and you're focused on being a hard worker, it doesn't necessarily mean that the training's focused. Point 4, strength and recovery are also training. So when I say strength, I'm not talking hills. I'm not talking aerobic strength, this and the other. That's aerobic side of things. That's your running data, if you will. But I'm talking like physical strength, not only injury prevention, but also like physical strength and power. Those things do matter. Follow some other videos of mine to get into that more. But recovery, I already mentioned recovery runs, but also days off and good sleep, good nutrition are all parts of recovery, and they are parts of training just because they don't log the miles. And point 5, to wrap it up, let's word it as in, what I wrote down was train the runner, not just the running. So if I'm thinking that from a coaching perspective, it's like, from your point of view, think about, I guess I don't really care about wording it special. You figured it out, you're smart. So instead of asking how many miles should I run, it's what does my body need to become a better runner? I mentioned this in my why I created this video, or created this channel video, and I'll talk about this quite a bit, about becoming the person you need to be in order to be successful. And in this case, running, what kind of runner do I need to, like, what kind of person do I need to be? Not runner. What kind of person do I need to be? What do I need to be doing in order for that runner to show up? Not, I need to be this type of runner and stuff like that so I get my goals. And I know it sounds like exactly the same thing and whatnot, but it's not. At times it might mean more mileage, but if you're focusing on the things that you are both strong and weak in, you're not necessarily focusing on miles, and it